When women dare to fully be themselves, to rise up as the divine beings they are, to operate in their magic, their sexuality, their power, they are always labeled one thing: wicked.
Wicked is a podcast for women who dare to walk in their true identity, power, and magic, who go against societal culture of being seen and not heard, who are the black sheep and powerhouses the structure tries to defeat. And here is your shepherd leading you astray, Mystic.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. Man, it feels good to be back in front of this mic after a couple weeks off during the holidays. Today, I want to talk about a very important topic for us ladies, and that is falling in love with potential, because we all do it, and it gets us in a lot of trouble, doesn't it? Why do we do this as women? And a lot of us will stay in relationships seeing the potential of somebody for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, and you're still waiting for that potential to be reached. And women will stay in the worst relationships just because they see potential. So what really is this potential, though? Does it actually exist? Or is this something that we're making up in our heads? Is it something else that we are actually seeing? You know, men don't really have this problem. They never meet a woman at a low point or at a shit point in her life and start dating her and think, I can really see her potential. I'm going to stick with this and just help to build her up, help to build her a whole life and put her in this whole other status and really just hang on to this for years and years and pour into her. It is rare. I mean, I've actually never seen it. I've never, ever met a man like this in my life. I don't know if you have, but I'm saying it's rare because I actually don't think it exists, but I'm sure it does somewhere. So we'll say for the 10 men on this planet that exist that actually, the same thing that they expect, a woman to be with them through their lowest point and stick by their side and help to build them their empire and do all of this. Those same men generally do not do that for women. They're looking for a woman who are above them, who are able to help pull them up, to give them a hand in some type of way, that are doing better than them. And you know what ends up happening in those relationships? They pull you down and you end up sinking with them. Because you have to understand feminine energy and the energetic relationship and the energetic dynamic in a relationship and how it affects you as a woman. Generally speaking, relationships are looked at from a man's point of view, from a masculine energy standpoint, not from a female standpoint. Because marriage and the whole dating scene in general is patriarchally created. It's male run. All your fairy tale stories of the knight in shining armor coming to save you is male run. The institution of marriage is for the benefit of man. It doesn't actually benefit the woman. We can argue this, I guess, but to me, there's not really, when you actually go back in history and see who first came up with actual legal marriage, and if you've ever even been through the court system, which I have twice, you will see how much pro-male the court system is because it's made for men. And marriage itself, generally when you see women that are finally getting divorces after 30 years, you will see that the man has, gotten degrees, has built up whole companies, has done whatever, and the woman generally has not done anything that she has wanted to do. Now, I'm not putting down the stay-at-home mom life because fuck yeah, I would love that. I would love to not have to worry about How am I going to pay bills? How am I going to take care of kids? How am I going to afford the cost of everything? I better do X, Y, and Z in order to do that. Am I taking time away from my kids and not paying attention to them most because I'm working? Like, there's a whole thing that goes into, you know, being a working mom that kind of sucks. And yes, it would be lovely to not have to worry about that. But at the same time, so me personally, I couldn't only do that. While I find it highly fulfilling as a woman to take care and nurture my children, I also feel highly fulfilled with helping other women. I feel highly fulfilled when I am in my network talking to other women and helping them reach their fucking goals and seeing them hit those goals and being their biggest cheerleader. I fucking love that. I love giving readings to people. I love helping people. So I would struggle just being the 100% mom in the house. So that's why I'm saying, you know, it's every woman's choice. But the dynamic where marriage has got today is really just the woman is the caretaker of the child so that the man can go out and do whatever the fuck they want. And a lot of women are waking up to this now, and they're saying this isn't working for me. But I don't see any of those men being like, yes, I saw the potential in my wife, so I sacrificed my whole life to help build her up. No. Let's get into this topic on potential. I want to first address why women tend to do this more so than men. We are creators. So let me first offend you by saying God is not a man. Now, hopefully if you're listening to this podcast, that don't offend you, but I know there will be some ears that offends. It can't be a man. God cannot be a man because men do not create, only women do. A man cannot birth a single human on this planet, so God cannot be male. Flowers that are male do not produce anything. The fruit trees in my yard that are male do nothing but stand there. The females bear the fruit. Without female energy, nothing exists. Now, in the Hindu pantheon, this is very beautifully laid out with Shiva and Shakti, because they will tell you right away that there is no Shiv without Shakti. So their god of all, Shiva, who is male, actually is generally depicted as both male and female because Shiva and Shakti are one. But they will tell you Shiva doesn't exist without Shakti. And this is true. So because women are the creators of the universe and we are always in a creative energy, we see potential in fucking anything. Even in that cockroach man that you are following around. You somehow magically see potential in this and that you can create this thing from a cockroach into some beautiful knight in shining armor king. You know, the frog to the king story. So women will date the frogs because they see potential and they'll say, well, we automatically like want to nurture that thing because our feminine energy naturally wants to like nurture and see things grow because that's what we do with babies. That's what we do with our children. We naturally have an energy of wanting something that cannot do things on its own and to help teach it and nurture it and care for it into a grown adult. Now we get this energy confused in our relationships because you see these baby men that don't know how to do shit and you're like, oh, it's like a little baby and I'm going to nurture it and nourish it and help it grow and put it into something great. But that doesn't happen. And you know why it doesn't happen? Because these are grown-ass men. Grown-ass men. They should already be at king status when you talk to them. Instead, they frogs, and you're seeing them as little babies that you can nourish and nurture into adults. Women can't help but see creative potential in just about anything. I mean, some of us will take a shit job because we see potential in the job. How about this? You go to the store, you buy ingredients because you see the potential for a great meal, and then you cook it and you turn it into a meal. This is what we do. We can go into a shit house, look around, and be like, oh, we can change this, do this color here, do this couch here. You see potential in it. you turn it into something else, something glorious. You go into Goodwill, you see this sofa, oh, you can get reupholstered here, do a little da-da-da. You saw potential in a fucking dilapidated couch that you got at Goodwill for $15 and turned it into something worth $150. Women can do that because we see potential and we know how to create things from nothing and turn it into something. But the problem is we do this in relationships, and every single time it will sink you because this is not the dynamic of a healthy relationship. See, a grown-ass man has the ability to see potential in his own self, and it is his responsibility to turn himself into that. And the problem with the current dynamic of you seeing the potential in him is that you start putting in the work and effort to build that man up into his potential, but it doesn't ever work because it's truly up to that man to change. Listen, there is nothing that you can say to a man to make him change. You can cry, you can beg, you can plead. Trust me, I have fucking done it. That will never work because that man is an individual and it is up to him to make the proper choices as a grown-ass man to make the decision to change. Right now, we are going through a pandemic of men who are absolutely refusing to change and are trying to hold on to an old structure that is fucking dying out rapidly as much as they possibly can because that system works for them. They have had it easy up until this point. It is a man's world out there. And if you're a woman and you are wanting to fight against what I'm saying right now, you are completely drudged in patriarchy yourself and need to reassess everything that you believe. Because I see it constantly on social media, especially with life coaches and spiritual coaches. And I don't know, there's coaches for everything today. All of these coaches out there, even female ones, especially female ones, are constantly saying things that are so patriarchal. Like, if you're not being treated right in a relationship, you have a subconscious block that is now not allowing it. No, I'm sorry, I can't align with that because it's putting the blame on a woman for bullshit men behavior. Why is it my fault that a man is treating me like shit? The only thing that's my fault is how long I put up with it. That part is a choice. And putting up with shit because you see potential actually comes from the fact that you don't have good boundaries. And not having strong boundaries or strong moral value is what the problem is. Because when you have very strong boundaries and moral values, what happens is when someone comes into your life and they're trying to get you to lower that boundary or overstep that moral value, you won't fucking do it. So you won't put up with bullshit in any relationship. What happens is you start looking at the potential that a man might have, and they start convincing you that you should be pouring into them. And when you start picking up on these little red flags, you keep going over the red flag with the potential that you're seeing and ignore the goddamn flag. And then you start stepping over your own boundary line to meet him where he's at. And you're actually conditioned to do that. And then they're saying things to try to get you to, like, if you have a hard no, but they're trying to get you to say yes, they will come at you from every which angle and make you feel guilty about that until you finally lower your standard and you say yes. And then now you are the one changing. So while you're seeing potential in a man and you think that
you're going to be able to build this man up into some type of potential. He sees the potential in you to frickin' take all of your energetic resources, and he sees the potential to start lowering your boundaries and lowering your standards so that you can actually downgrade yourself to meet him at the level that he's currently at. And then you stay in a piss-all relationship because he has now convinced you that you can't do any better and that you actually don't even believe all those morals and boundaries. And now you're the one lost and confused in a fucking relationship wondering how you got there. And you're living a whole other life than you truly set out living. And no, this doesn't happen overnight. This doesn't happen in weeks. It doesn't happen in months. Depending on how strong of a person you are, the longer you're with someone, it will just take time, but they will slowly beat you down over time. This is why you cannot fall in love with potential. Now, most of you that think you're seeing potential in a man, you actually are not seeing his true identity. What you're doing is projecting your own self on to him. See, because he was beneath you in the first place. And what you're seeing, other than your ability to be a creator as a woman, you automatically project what you would be doing on to this person. So you think, well, if I talk to them enough, if I coach them enough, if I give them enough whatever, that you're eventually going to get them to change into you. But you're never going to do that. They're never going to do what you're doing. You will find yourself in situations where you're trying to wait for them to make specific choices in situations because that's how you would act or respond. And you're confusing this with their potential. You think they have a potential to be like you, and they fucking don't. If they would act and behave and respond as you do, they would already be doing that. They are grown-ass men. You're not raising them. They ain't your babies. You're not trying to raise them up and condition them to be a specific way because you have a certain set of morals. And of course, why wouldn't somebody be morally sound? Why wouldn't they do the right thing by nature? Because they're selfish fucks. They do what works for them. They don't give a shit about you. And the men that are out there dating, hoping that you're going to see that fake potential, are the predators that are dragging you the fuck down. And you will waste years on men like this, waiting for them to do the right thing and behave the right way simply because you do. And you think that how you behave is their potential, and it fucking isn't. They don't have that potential. You're ignoring who they truly are because you're seeing yourself in them. You're seeing a reflection of you. And you know what? That person that you're falling in love with and that you think you love is really just you falling in love with yourself because you're projecting your own self onto them. If you were to remove all of your projections of potential, of who they could be, if you were to erase all of that, you would be left with who they really are. And you would not want to be with that person. If they talk to you like shit, they're always going to talk to you like shit. That's who they are. That's how they entered the relationship, and they do not plan on changing. You need to have that in your head when you enter a relationship. Do not think a man's going to change. If they say they're going to, let them go and tell them to come back when they're different. It's not up to you to help them change in any fucking way. They're grown men. It's not up to you to help them. It's not up to you to build them up, because all that's going to happen is that you're going to be left at the construction site. Okay? With your little hard hat on and your notebook. And they'll be on to the next. the next victim who sees even more potential and is going to spend the next 2 years building him up. It's simple predator-prey dynamic. Most men still operate in this. The reason why this happens so much is because women love differently than men love. And no, I'm not a man, so I can't speak from, direct experience, but I've had my fair share of relationships. I used to only hang out with men. And there's something that I've always noticed. And women will fall deeply in love with a man and will be their ride or die. They will stand by them through thick or thin, and they will stand by them so hardcore that they will literally let it ruin their own life. Like, they will wreck their own life while he is also wrecking his in hopes to help him fix himself. And a woman will displace herself from the pedestal she's on and allow herself to be dragged through the mud by a man who is being dragged himself. Men don't do this. I cannot think, and I'm sure there are some, okay? I'm sure there's some that are out there that, the dynamic is different. However, I personally have yet to meet a man who was dragged through the mud by a female, and when she was, at her worst in life and really just wilding out and treating him like shit and doing whatever, that they stuck in there and were like, yeah, I'm I see her potential though. I got to help her build herself up. I'm her ride or die. I'm going to let my life get wrecked too. It's very rare you see men take this approach. Women have a deeper capacity to love because our capacity for emotions are much greater. And I believe that this is just innate in our brains because we have specific hormones that allow for this because we are meant to be mothers. We know how to love unconditionally because we have babies. And even if you haven't had a child, you understand unconditional love to a certain degree because that's how our brains and bodies are built. And I don't believe men actually have this in them. I'm not a scientist, but I can't tell you the hormonal panel of a man of why this is different. But I feel like this is why a lot of women get so frustrated in relationships when they're like, why can't this man see how much I love him? Why can't he just see this? And I don't think that they can because they don't have the capacity to understand the depth of emotion to the same level that we do. The same reason why we get so upset. We feel deeper than men feel. So you can't even have that expectation on a man. So most of us do, though. We think that they are going to feel deeply and feel in the same right-brained feminine way, and they don't. And so we're even projecting our own love capabilities or our own emotional capabilities onto men, and they don't have that. You have to understand that their worldview, their perception is completely different from ours. They are left-brained. They think of everything very logically. They experience the world very logically. It's very, very different from us. When you are entering into a relationship with a man, you really need to take everything at face value. And I understand that as adults, a lot of us are trying to do the work to change. And sure, you can be in a relationship where you're both working on yourselves individually and are going through the relationship working on your own self. But that is not and should not be the main stress of the relationship constantly. And the majority of the time, it's the woman that is constantly dragging the man and trying to convince them to change, to upgrade, to read this book, to listen to this podcast, sending them TikToks, sending them reels, doing all kinds of shit. At some point, the brain actually reaches a certain point. I actually believe it's around 36, where you're just in your full personality. And it takes an immense amount of effort to actually change, like way more than it would have before. So when you're, in your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s, and you're dating men and right away you're noticing things, listen to that. Don't see the potential of that changing. We're talking about grown-ass men here. They can fully take care of themselves. They do not need you to coddle them and nurse them and nourish them like they are children. You don't need to handhold them in the fucking process of change. If they want to change, when you meet them, they would already be in that process of changing. And if men have any type of intelligence, like emotional intelligence, they will not even enter the dating field until they feel like they are truly ready to step into that protector, provider role for a woman and to be the support beam for that feminine energy. And we have a deficit in the West of divine masculinity. I can't speak for other countries. I don't know. There's a huge difference being in a relationship where there's an ease and flow, and each person is working on themselves within that flow. So when confrontation does arise, which it will because you're trying to live your life with another person who isn't you, you guys can actually sit down and just have a conversation without it getting heated. Or if you feel like you're getting heated, maybe take a step back and think, okay, this is kind of triggering me. I need to go for a walk and figure out why, and then come back and discuss it like normal, emotionally intelligent human beings. However, this is not the case right now for 90% of relationships. It's that the man is just the stubborn man, and the woman is staying in an abusive relationship because she sees potential of what could be, and she lives in that daydream of potential for fucking years. Oh, well, he'll change one day. No, it's the same thing as the third party thinking that the married man is going to leave his wife eventually. It's the same level of stupidity. If that man wanted to change, he would himself be actively doing things to change. He's not too busy with work. He's not too busy with video games, whatever he thinks he's too busy with. Because when you're in a relationship, that relationship should be the top priority. Otherwise, don't be in a relationship. There's this weird thing in our culture. I mean, we can blame Disney if we want, but it's everybody thinks they need to be in a relationship and can't be alone. And it's, I don't know, hurry up and get married. And they literally will chase, especially women, women will chase after toxic ass men that cheat, that lie, that steal from them. For what? Why are you chasing after that heartache and that heartbreak and that constant, addiction to living in fight or flight all the time? This also leads into the topic of accountability, because a lot of times men are not held accountable for their actions basically anywhere in society. I mean, you see it in politics, you see it in, what do you call it? In Hollywood, what do you call I don't even know how to refer to them, in famous people. Men are very, and in our day-to-day, you can probably see it at your job, men aren't really held accountable for their actions ever. Oh my God, you see it in the court system all the time. You rape a woman, I think the max you can get is 7 years. 7 for raping a woman. Most of them do not ever serve a full 7-year term, ever. The thing with accountability in men is that they're never going to listen to women holding them accountable for anything. Men need to start holding other men accountable for their actions. But this means that men actually have to do the work and change. Now, yes, there are men already out there doing this work. And there actually are like male groups that meet together and actually help each other in this process of getting more in touch with their own emotions and kind of, I don't know what to call them, accountability partners, but like it's like AA, but for men to stop being douchebags. So when they feel the urge to be a douchebag, they can call their accountability buddy. But we really do need more men holding each other accountable. Like, why a man who's cheating on his girlfriend or his wife, why do they get props for that from their other friends? Like, why are they allowed to brag about that to their friends? The other men should be standing up like, bro, that's gross. Why are you doing that? There's just no accountability, and the culture in the West doesn't help either because it's highly promoted for men to do whatever the fuck they want. The other way this is finally going to start to change, which this is happening right now, is women have to stop tolerating it. In the way we hold men accountable, I'll tell you right now, it's not going to be through your fucking words or your tears or anything because they don't give a fuck. It's going to simply be by not tolerating it anymore. Have a strong no. When you see a red flag, don't paint it white. Leave the roses painted red. When a man is trying to get you to do something that is not in your moral code, or is doing something and you would never treat them that way, do not stay in that relationship. Why? What is the point of you continually, women will do this for years, literally ask to be treated kindly, ask to not be yelled at, ask, please treat me like a basic human being. Why is that so hard? How many times do you have to ask for help with the dishes? You understand a man knows how to wash a dish, right? Look at all of the jobs men hold in this fucking world. Look at all the ancient architecture of what men have built. You think they don't know how to wash a goddamn dish? No, they just don't want to do it, and they don't care enough about your mental health to wash the fucking dish because they put themselves first, which is something you should learn as a woman. You see, we tolerate all of this shit for so many years because we have been taught to not value our own selves. Because the more you value yourself, the less bullshit you will put up with. What ends up happening when you start putting your foot down and you start saying this is unacceptable to me, and you start demanding or requiring more out of a man than they want to put forward, they will just go find another woman and they will cheat. Or they will leave the relationship because they don't want to change. So they will find another woman below that caliber to continue to put up with their shit so that they don't have to change. Or you'll never find out about the other woman and you'll just be in a miserable fucking relationship trying to constantly change them. Waiting for the day that the potential kicks in and it's 15 years later and you've wasted 15 years of your life. Take it slow if you are in the dating realm, because anybody can fake shit for a few months, but there will always be little flags here and there. Do not ignore them. Before you even enter into the dating scene, you need to have a very strong list of no's, of what you are not going to tolerate in a relationship. And when that item pops up out of a man's mouth or in the relationship, don't look away and say, well, yeah, I know I wrote this down, but maybe, that was a little bit too much. No, it fucking wasn't. It wasn't too much when you were single. Why do you feel like you need to compromise your own self to stay in a relationship out of fear of being alone? It's okay if they are not the one for you. Right now, men are the ones that need to figure their shit out. Women need to focus on themselves and start valuing themselves way fucking more. Because the more you value yourself, the less you will tolerate. And you need to take your rose-colored shades off and do not see potential in men. Just see them for as they are in the moment of them standing right in front of you. Because again, they're grown-ass men. And if they want to change to be with you, they fucking will. But they need to go do it on their own. There is no sense in you teaching them how to do it. They don't need you to teach them shit. They're grown-ass men. I don't know how many times I've said this on the podcast already, even in the last 10 minutes. Because I don't feel like women realize this. I feel like we have been trained so much by men and their weaponized incompetence and them acting dumb, like they ain't capable of anything. It's bullshit. They are very capable. They just choose not to do it because they know you will overcompensate for them. Men have a very easy life compared to women. And for some reason, we allow them to ride on us. You need to make that decision that is not going to fly anymore. You, my dear woman, need to focus on valuing yourself. Know your worth. And you know how you do that? Surround yourself with other women that also value you and value themselves. And spend time building each other up, valuing each other, being there for each other. Because if we stop buying into the bullshit system that's been put in place to keep women separated, what's going to happen is women are going to come together and start supporting each other. And they're going to express love to each other how we do. And we're going to build each other up. And we're going to really love our female relationships. I see it every day on my network. We are going to love our female relationships. And you know what's going to happen? When you decide to go date, you are literally going to compare a man to how well your girlfriends be treating you. You going to settle for less than how a friend treats you? Or better yet, because you're now so in tune with yourself and love yourself so much, are you going to settle for a man that treats you less than you treat your own self? A lot of you guys need to ask yourself this question. Is that man that you're staying with actually just how you feel about yourself inside and the internal dialogue that you have with yourself on a daily basis? Is he just a reminder of that? Because if you thought highly of yourself or spoke to yourself better than that, why would you be with a dog that doesn't even meet you where you're at? He treats you less than you treat yourself. Why would you carry that baggage around? Somewhere along the line, there's an agreement taking place that you deserve that type of shit treatment. So the inoculation to that is starting to treat yourself better. And treating yourself good is not taking a fucking bath. That's fucking hygiene. I don't want to hear about, oh, self-care. I took a bath and drank a glass of wine. Okay. So you washed your body. That's self-care? No, this is hygiene. We have been so deluded in our goddamn culture that women will literally call taking a fucking bath and putting on a bathrobe after self-care. That's how deluded it is. We literally don't even consider bathing a normal part of our fucking life. We label it self-care. Does a man consider showering self-care? No, he just goes and fucking does it. I saw this TikTok and it had me laughing. This guy was saying that dating women in their 40s is real hard because if you spend the night and the next morning you don't put the cap back on the toothpaste, they break up with you and kick you out and never call you again. You're blocked. And I was laughing because I'm like, this is how all women need to be. Just have a zero tolerance policy. Like, I'm not putting up with any bullshit anymore. How many of you listening to this right now are in a relationship where you could be like, I'm not tolerating this anymore, and then the person would change? It's probably a very low percent. How many of you would not even feel comfortable with that coming out of your mouth? How many of you can say to your partner, do not ever talk to me like that again? And that would go over very well. And then they would never do it again. Probably a very small percentage of you. Most of you are probably on your tiptoes and you don't even want to bring it to their attention that they hurt your fucking feelings because you don't want to hear the backlash. Because men have such little egos. I don't even know, weak egos? I don't even know what to call it because they're so in their ego, but it's like weak. That if you bring up to them that they hurt you, they like go off onto some, I don't even know what to call it. They just go off on tangents and they get angry at you for bringing that up, which hurts you more. How many of you have spoken to your boyfriend or partner or lover, whatever, about your feelings through tears and they did not fucking care? They just looked at you. Did they change after? Or do they not give a shit about your salt you were leaking out of your eyes? What % of your relationship are you trying to convey that you are upset about what your partner is doing to them? What % of your relationship are you literally just thinking about how to bring it up that they hurt you and that you want them to change a behavior? What % of your relationship are you reliving conversations that you had with this person because they hurt you in what they were saying or through their actions? What % of your day is literally taken up by this other person and their negative fucking behavior? Why are you in this relationship? When is the last time they have done something nice for you without you asking? What do you consider something nice? Because think back on it. Was that just basic human decency? Or was it actually something special? Did they just finally treat you how you treat them every day? Do they treat strangers better than they treat you? Do they talk to their friends nicer than they speak to you? These are hard pills to swallow for a lot of you. Oh, well, he doesn't mean it. Yes, he does. It's coming out of his fucking mouth. Oh, well, I know his heart. His hand is the extension of his heart. His mouth is the extension of his heart. Do not say, that's the other thing women do. Well, I know his heart. You don't. You're projecting your heart onto his heart. It's not, oh, I know. If someone has something in their heart, that comes out in their actions because the heart don't lie. You act how you feel. Deep down, do you really love your partner, but for some reason you talk to them like they're a piece of trash? No, you don't do that, do you? But you're going to say but they do that? Deep down, they really love you and they don't mean the words they say. Deep down, they really love you. They don't mean to cheat. They're just a twin flame running from you. Like, how much bullshit can we come up with just to stay in toxicity? And now, I'm kind of wondering if we are doing this because we are afraid to actually stand in our worth. Are you afraid to actually explore what it's like to have somebody treat you, to know what you're worth? Because a lot of relationships in your life will fall apart when you start to do that. And some of us don't believe we deserve even the bare minimum. So we accept much less than that and come up with excuses like twin flame and knowing their heart and potential. I don't know. Is it just an excuse that comes off of our lips so that we can stay with shit because truly that's all we believe we deserve? Are we just afraid to be alone? Are we really that gaslit by society from a very young age? And then we go into relationships and we are gaslit again? Women are gaslit everywhere. In the medical system, in the birthing system, in the school system, in the court system. We live under gaslights. I don't know, there's fluorescent lighting, there's like vitamin D lighting, halogen lighting. Women, we just get gaslighting. A lot of us have so much deconstructing to do before we should even consider being in relationship with men. Because men are pros at being predators. It's in their DNA. So before you know it, you're in a toxic relationship, trauma bonded to someone you think you're fucking in love with and you're not. This is my advice to you ladies. And this is something that I have been doing. And I probably just started doing this probably before I got pregnant with Zion. And now it's like full-fledged. Is knowing your worth, constantly increasing your value, meaning constantly increasing what you believe you're worth There should be inflation every year. Okay? Price is going up. But you should constantly be doing things so that you are always feeling like your value is increasing. And this is not material in any way. It will manifest that way the more you do it, but it doesn't start off as anything material. It's going inside and actually asking yourself the hard questions. The first thing needs to be, why are you tolerating what you tolerate? Why do you not think you're worth more? Taking responsibility for the relationship you're in and knowing I saw the signs in the beginning. I decided to continue to say yes, and now I'm here. Do I want to keep saying yes to this? My first marriage, I went to marriage counseling. I think we only went to 3 sessions. On the 3rd session, my ex did not show up he was like 20 or 30 minutes late. And she said, I want to start the session with just you. I said, okay. And I was telling her how I feel like I'm walking around confused all the time. And I was listing her off all of these things. And she looked at me. Now, again, this was only our 3rd session, okay? She looked at me and she said, do you want to feel this way for the rest of your life? And I said, no. And she said, then leave him because he's never going to change. This is who he is. And this like light bulb went off in my head. Like, she's fucking right. Because for years, I have been trying to change the dynamic in this relationship. And it hasn't changed at all. It's just gotten worse. So what am I doing? And I filed for divorce the next day. And it was the best decision. Best decision. And I love that fucking therapist for being that upfront with me and for looking me in the eye as a woman and being like, hello, do you want to live like this for the rest of your life? We are always holding on in the hopes for change. But you need to let go and let them go change on their own. Because most of them won't. Again, they're grown-ass men. They can go change on their own and come back to you when they are worthy to be in your fucking presence. And that's how you need to start looking at it. We have no courting culture in this fucking society anymore. There's none. Once you start valuing yourself and valuing your time and walking in your worth, and you're surrounding yourself with other women who value you, who treat you good, who support you, you're not going to let some swindler, some smooth talking, whatever, come up and disturb your peace. You're not going to be walking at level 10 and be like, oh, let me go see what this level 1 is doing. When you ladies start doing this more and more, and as we start doing this more, it automatically sets the bar for men. Because right now, as I said in our last episode, the bar is in fucking hell. There is no goddamn bar. So let's start setting one. Just keep not tolerating it. Eventually, in some generation, it's going to change. But it is going to start with us. We have taught men that all of that is acceptable. Now, we've taught them it's acceptable through conditioning that came from them. So it's kind of like a weird cycle, but it's up to us to break that conditioning now because we're smart enough to do it. And the more women talk and tell their stories and being vocal about your partner, don't be embarrassed about it, who you're dating, who you're married to, fucking talk to another woman about it, who has high value of themselves. Run it by them. Be like, I don't feel okay with this. This is what happened. Like, what do you think? Men rely on our silence. And they start shit in between women to isolate us so that we aren't talking no more. It's just like people who are in narcissistically abusive relationships. The first thing they do is they isolate the woman from their family. So then that way the family can't see what the man's doing. As a whole culture and society, what have they done? They have isolated women so we don't talk to each other anymore. And this is the problem. Because when we do talk and when we tell our stories and when we get together, we don't tolerate that shit anymore. We say, no, actually, that's not okay. And then we empower you to be able to speak up and say something about it. Or we empower you to be able to leave. Stop allowing Dusty to be your standard. We only going to be in white glove relationships from now on. How about that? And as we start doing this, we're going to be called names by men. And social media will be blasting off about our behavior and how awful we are. And they will gaslight us more and try and condition us to go back into our little chess square. They'll call us names, threaten us. They'll do all kinds of stuff because they do not want to lose power. And they will do anything they can to keep us in that little square. And the only thing that you need to do, sister, is to remain wicked and step out of that fucking box. Want to be part of an online community filled with other badass women supporting each other on their wicked journey? Check out my online community, the Wise Woman Network. We have classes, courses, online community meetings, and more. Activate that sleeping goddess within and unleash your divine power. Join me today on a free trial to all my listeners. Link is in the show notes. I'll see you there.